Okay, meeting configuration. Dave?
Yeah, I just want to pass it down. Just wait so everybody gets a look at that. The reason I bring this up is a few reasons. And first of all, I'd just like to say to the staff, it had nothing to do with any of you personally or professionally. But as you can see from this configuration, this would have the school board, the superintendent, and the secretary sitting here at the table. And I think that this would allow for better communication with the public. As I'm sitting here now, the public is off to my shoulder. I can't see them, they probably can't see me. I'm talking this way, I'm not talking that way. And I don't think that there is a need to have the administration seated at the table. Physically, it would bring our footprint down so much smaller that the public would literally be much closer for everyone. We would be able to see them, they would be able to see us. The administration would come to the table, which, as you can see in my diagram, we would have a table with a chair there to give reports or to answer questions as needed if they were in attendance at the meeting, which is certainly up to the superintendent. This is the way the town council functions, and it seems to work really well. And I've made this statement before. I am not in favor of all the laptops that are open here in front of this meeting while we're all talking. I am not, that does not concern me for people that are in the audience. And if the administration was in the audience, answering emails or doing work, I don't think that that's a problem. I find it rather frustrating to sit here and be discussing issues, and people are more engaged in their computers than they are in what I'm saying. And I don't think that that reflects well as a board. I think everyone that sits up here should be engaged. So I think that this configuration puts a table there with a chair for the public or the administration to come to, just like we have. I think it's incumbent that we have a place to make the public comfortable, and they want to come up and address the board, if they have paperwork that they'd like to put out, or the administration, that they have a place to sit. There will be a microphone there if we get an audio system. And I think this would work much better. I have to ask myself many times why we have the administration here. And many times when I've asked questions from the public for the administration, it's put off to the next meeting anyway. So we are not asking these people to sit here and answer any question that's fielded by the public. Those are really my big reasons. This is part of the bigger public relations thing, and I think of trying to bring the public closer and us to serve the public. Like I said, I've watched this at the town council. It seems to work very well. When someone comes up and they have a report to give or something, they have the full attention of the board and everybody that's up here, and then they go on and do whatever it is that they want to do. I, related to this, would also like to see the principal reports summarized or read aloud as used to be done. I did get a request from one of my constituents about that, because we are handed the principal reports, we look at them, and the public has absolutely no idea of what's going on at the schools and so forth. So this would provide a place for the principal to come up, sit down, doesn't have to read his report verbatim, but to summarize the big things that are going on with the school, has our attention, and then goes about his business and does his duty. That's the idea. It's pretty simple. Thank you.
Well, if I could, interesting concept, and I will tell you that something that I had actually written it in near the end, but it was my hope that we, and I'm not trying to piggyback on this. I think it relates, because I was going to suggest that we ask that any member of the administration beyond the superintendent would come to a meeting, I'll say at the discretion of the superintendent if he wants them to present something, or at the request of board member if we're looking for some specifics on Colley or Memorial or Underhill, and that to really free them up, because I heard what you said about the laptops, but I will tell you that they've worked their full day, and they're here for a meeting, and they're trying to get their work done for the next day, and to be honest with you, I respect them for that, because they put in a long day. We all put in long days, but the fact that we're not directing anything at them. I know anytime I've ever directed anything at the administration, they've always been 100% attentive, and the fact that they're able to do some work while they're not being asked to do something or asked for information, I think is fine. But I also, I think it's a good opportunity for, say, you know what, if we don't need you at a meeting, and the superintendent doesn't need you, the board doesn't need you, and you're not presenting a program that evening, you know what, you don't have to be at the meeting. So again, if I added something to yours,
Well, I don't have a motion yet. So
yeah, I know, but I think it's a good. I think to me, it's a part of your overall layout. So, Tricia.
Typically, all of the administrators are not at our second meeting. At our second meeting, it's only the ones that are presenting, and at our first meeting of the month, they're usually here to present their principal reports, and when we go into non-public, they tend to be told that it's okay to leave. Maybe we make that decision earlier in the meeting instead of waiting until non-public, but if they're finished presenting to us, it would be reasonable for us to say you don't have to stay unless you have something coming up later in the agenda. But typically at non-public, someone will ask that they're going. And if we're a 21st century school district, we would expect our administrators to be 20th century educators, and they have PDFs of what we're talking about on their computers. That they don't have packets. We have all this paper, they have PDF. So it's on their computer, they're following along on their computer instead of paper, which if we could all afford laptops, that would be a reasonable, but we're volunteers and don't have them. They work for the district, they have district computers that are helping them administer what they do.
I'd like to say I'm all for them working and getting all the work done, and I don't mean to claim that they're not. I just think that the impression is that they're not engaged in the meeting, and whether they're reading along or something. I mean, when people are speaking to me, I try not to be reading. I try to look at them so that they understand that I'm listening. And I don't mean to put this on them. I know that they have a lot of work to do. My point is, if they were at a table or something in the back doing that work, I don't think it would be an issue at all. And I would agree with Dana, if they could be at home doing that work, and we can text or email them if we need, a question, I'm fine with that too. I just think that, and I have sat in that audience, and I've commented about this before. It's like if you were talking to me right now and I kept looking down at my device, you tend to think that I'm not listening to you. And maybe I am, but that impression is there. And I think when we sit up here, we have to have a certain, we should have a certain impression for the public. And I think that that's important. Now, my assumption was that they're here under the direction of the superintendent. I mean, are we required? We're not requiring them to be here, so I'm not trying to vote to require them not to be here. I'm assuming it's up to the superintendent to decide who he wants from the administration to attend the meeting, and I'm not trying to step into that.